Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into your official Week 1 preview, where I will be previewing all the Week 1 games. I think this is something I'm going to do every week on Thursday. We do have a game tonight, big game between the Cowboys and Buccaneers. Just going to be maybe talking about each game for about a minute or so. We also could talk about the weather, because people don't realize how much of the weather has huge impacts on these games. It's not even funny. So let's get started. Obviously tonight, the Thursday night game to kick off the season, we've got the Super Bowl winning Buccaneers hosting the Cowboys. And guys, let me be honest with you guys. I hate the lines this week. I think the lines are terrible. I think Vegas is going to destroy the general public. But I will say 8.5 is a lot of points for Tampa to cover. I like Dallas covering the 8.5. But you're looking at an 8-20 game. Dak Prescott, he's been a little injured. It looks like he's ready to go for Week 1. A lot of people high on the Buccaneers. I actually think people are overrating the Buccaneers defense based off of what they saw in the Super Bowl last year. The Chiefs had 2 turnstile offensive tackles. Buccaneers defense a little bit overrated. There's been people saying the Buccaneers are going to go 17-0. There's no chance that's going to happen. And my bold prediction is I don't think the Buccaneers are making it back to the Super Bowl at all. I will guarantee that. I don't think they do. Tom Brady's great. He's the GOAT. I'm not disputing that. But this is a game where I actually like Dallas plus 8.5. That's a lot of points to cover. There was a little bit of a storyline about this potentially being a rain game. It looks like it's 88 degrees and cloudy there in Tampa. This time of year, we get those rainstorms. You're not going to see it rain throughout the entire game consistently, but you could see something pop up. Normally how it is in Florida, again, this time of year, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning down there, a lot of quick thunderstorms, so we will have to see on that. Moving on to the Sunday slate, we've got the Eagles at the Falcons. This is going to be probably a very close game. Very interested to see Jalen Hurts. Obviously, the Falcons, their first year in a long time without Julio Jones. Can Calvin Ridley step up as that number 1 receiver? Atlanta's 3-point favorites, so it's basically a toss-up because they are the home team getting 3 points at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome or Stadium. It is, I believe, a retractable roof, a little circle there. So that should be a decent game. Steelers at Bills. I really like the Bills in this one, 77 degrees. And, I wonder if the roof's going to be open in Atlanta. I don't know. They don't say the weather. 77 degrees, partly cloudy, mostly sunny there. Steelers at the Bills. We'll have to see Josh Allen. I'm going to be really interested to see how Josh Allen does this year. As for Pittsburgh, they've got a really good defense. A really underrated group of receivers. They have 3 really good receivers, and then we'll have to see with Najee Harris, but obviously Big Ben, he's old at this point. They're going to need to protect him. He could get injured. We'll have to see. Maybe we see Dwayne Haskins at some point in the season. Moving on, we've got the Vikings at the Bengals. Kind of an interesting NFC versus AFC game. This game's on Fox. Cincy, 87 degrees. That's a swelter and mostly sunny. You're going to see Joe Burrow. Kind of interesting with Cincinnati. Joe Burrow had such a good start to his rookie year, had the big injury, and now this preseason, people have been saying he's looked bad. He's been a little timid. Jamar Chase, obviously, people are worried about him. I am not worried at all about Jamar Chase. I think he's going to be just fine. He's a beast. People are saying T. Higgins is better than him. I don't see that. As for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, we'll have to see. They might be able to contend a little bit in that NFC North with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and a solid defense. They always have a solid defense led by Harrison Smith and a stable group of pass rushers. How about the 49ers at the Lions? San Francisco, 7.5-point favorites. This is in a dome. I would not want to be Jimmy G. He's going to get his starting job taken probably week 3 or week 4. The 49ers got destroyed by injuries on the defensive side of the ball last year. They're getting Nick Bosa back. They have DeForest Buckner. They have, Fred Warner. Really good defense. You'd expect them to win this game. And as for the Lions, I saw DeAndre Swift. Looks like he's 100% a full go. Going to be playing. Going to be interesting to see Jared Goff, his first game in the NFL, not wearing a Rams jersey. I would say the Lions probably win 4 or 5 games this year. The 49ers, this is a good game for the 49ers. Start the year on the road in Detroit. Detroit's not a good team. Get an easy win. Moving on, Cardinals at the Titans. Kind of another interesting. We've got a NFC West team traveling to play in the 1 o'clock window here. Should be a good game. 90 degrees in Nashville. Oh my goodness, and sunny. Really good weather so far. We're seeing Ryan Tannehill, underrated quarterback. A.J. Brown coming back from, I think, a surgery. I didn't even know that, but he should be playing. They obviously traded for Julio Jones. That should be a really interesting offense with Derrick Henry as well. As for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, can he be an MVP candidate? It's an interesting storyline. It really is. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They've got a number of receivers. How about Chase Edmonds in the backfield? I'm really not a fan of James Conner. I just don't think he's very good. Chase Edmonds, if you own him in fantasy, really high-end flex-type player, especially in full-point PPR leagues. Another 1 o'clock game. How about another NFC Pacific time zone team traveling and playing in the 1 o'clock window? Seahawks at the Colts. This game, dude, the Seahawks play, every game the Seahawks play is close. It feels like every game. I swear to God, this game is going to end 27-24. It seriously will. Seattle 2.5-point favorites in this one. We'll have to see if the dome is open there, the stadium, the retractable roof, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I'm guessing it'll probably be open unless it's too hot. They really like controlling the temperature there. But with the Colts, Carson Wentz looks like he's going to be ready for week 1. He had that weird injury, and they were like, well, he's going to miss 5 to 12 weeks. Well, I mean, that's a pretty big time difference. I guess it's closer to missing just 5 weeks. Quentin Nelson had the exact same injury. I think he should be playing as well, going up against the Seahawks. And let me just get this out of the way before anyone on the media says it. Guys, did you know Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote? Because every year this happens where Russell Wilson starts off September extremely hot, and by week 4, week 5, every ESPN insider stat tweets out, Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote in his career, and then he always fizzles late in the year and doesn't get an MVP vote. So I'm just getting it out of the way before the media starts to say it this year. Moving on, another 1 o'clock game. We've got the Chargers at Washington. If I'm Justin Herbert, I'm a little ticked off. This is the first game of my sophomore year. Washington has a really good defense. Surprisingly good defense. How about this line? Even. 100% pick 'em. Should be a really good game. The over-under is only 44.5. That doesn't surprise me. If I'm Justin Herbert, I'm a little bit pissed. Guys, I have a lot of shares of Austin Eckler, and I'm really concerned. He has a hamstring injury, and that's a tough Washington defense week 1. We're not sending a great vibe here if you're an Austin Eckler fantasy owner. I don't know if he plays, but even if he does play, you're facing a really tough defense. Does he play all those snaps? Does Justin Jefferson get some run? How about Joshua Kelly? So we'll have to see there. 86 degrees and sunny in Landover. Beautiful weather so far. We've got a game here, another 1 o'clock game. How about Sam Darnold taking on Zachary Wilson? The rookie is starting week 1. Should be interesting there. Yeah, this is another game. Over-under is 44. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Carolina, 4-point favorites. It'll be interesting with Sam Darnold and what he can do with some actual weapons. He's got DJ Moore. He's got Robbie Anderson. We understand, you've got Christian McCaffrey as a safety valve out of the backfield. Christian McCaffrey should be 100% ready to go. And then he's also got a young rookie out of LSU, Terrence Marshall Jr., who's been the absolute talk of the camp. We'll have to see that with that. For the Jets, a guy like Michael Carter I'd be looking at, obviously. Probably later in the season. I don't think he's going to get a lot of run. They've got kind of a murky backfield. Ty Johnson, the former Maryland Terrapins, probably leading the charge there in the backfield. But overall, with the Jets, it'll be interesting. They're starting Zach Wilson. Normally, a lot of these times with the rookies, they like to sit them, kind of like what they're doing with Justin Fields. But this year, we're seeing Mac Jones start week 1. We're seeing Zach Wilson start week 1. We're seeing Trevor Lawrence start week 1. And speaking of Trevor Lawrence, the final 1 o'clock game of the day, the Jaguars at the Texans. Really good first game for Trevor Lawrence facing a Texans team who just traded Bradley Roby. Not that it would have mattered. Roby's suspended for week 1, but they're in the process of trading him to the New Orleans Saints. We'll have to see how good Jacksonville's offense is. Obviously, the loss of Travis Etienne. That's a tough loss. Maybe Carlos Hyde, the former Buckeye, get some run back there. We know James Washington's back from last year. And then the Texans, you're just looking at a team that's going to be tanking, the whole Deshaun Watson thing. So, guys, I'll give you a quick take on the Deshaun Watson thing. Basically, what's going to be happening is they can't trade him right now. The legal situation's going to clear up, and then they're going to trade him in the offseason. That's what's happening with Deshaun Watson. He will not play it down. They right now have Tyrod Taylor starting. technically. And my guess and my projection is the Texans will start Tyrod Taylor for about 6 or 7 weeks. They'll be 2-5 or 1-6, and then they'll go with the rookie from Stanford, Davis Mills, and see if he's any good, and kind of gauge if they need a quarterback or maybe he can be their future quarterback for the final 7 or 8 weeks of the season. Probably end up with the number 1 overall pick and proceed to take Spencer Rattler. That's my prediction on Houston. Well, when the Deshaun Watson situation clears up in the offseason, he will be traded. That's the prediction there. The Jaguars should get an easy first win. Only 3-point favorites because they were terrible last year, but we'll have to see Trevor Lawrence first game starting. Going to be really interesting. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games. Kind of disappointed there's no 4:05 games. There should be at least a few 4:05 games every week. I don't understand that. But this is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. The Browns at the Chiefs. And I saw this line, Kansas City -6. And I'm not betting on any games this weekend when it comes to the NFL. I just don't feel confident with any games week 1 this week. But I will say, I would like the Browns in this one +6. The Browns overall have the better roster, but the Chiefs clearly have the better quarterback and the better skill position players. So it's kind of an interesting mix. But I think this is going to be a very close game. We'll have to see how well Baker does. Obviously, you've got Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. How about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is he going to have a bounce-back fantasy season after kind of a disappointing rookie year? That'll be interesting. Patrick Mahomes enters the week 1 as the MVP favorite, no doubt in that one. So I think it's going to be a close game. Probably game of the week. I know Tony Romo and Nance are doing it on CBS. That's their big game. Another 4:25 game. Kind of an interesting 4:25 game here. The Dolphins at New England, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm a big believer in him. I think he's going to be great in year 2. You know, there's been some reports about the Dolphins possibly trading for Deshaun Watson. I don't buy it. You know, New England starting Mac Jones. Bill Belichick thinks he's good enough. Not a lot of weapons when it comes to the receivers. Maybe Jacoby Myers. I don't know. How about Damian Harris leading the backfield for New England? It'll be interesting from a fantasy perspective to see how that split looks. I forgot to look at the weather. How about 90 degrees in Kansas City, mostly sunny? And then you've got 82. The weather is ridiculous. 82 in Foxborough, mostly sunny in that. Moving on, we've got the Packers at the Saints. They moved this game due to the hurricane. I thought they were a little premature moving this game. They moved it like 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, normally this game would be played in the Superdome with really good conditions for both Rodgers and Jameis Winston. We've got a little bit of rain. Now, it is Florida, and this time of year, you know, we're still kind of in that summery, early September rainy season with Florida, so I'm guessing it's not going to rain throughout the entire game. Normally with Florida, the only time it rains 2 or 3 hours straight is when they have a tropical storm, so I think you could see maybe a few sprinkles on and off, 87 degrees, probably very humid when it stops raining. But that game, yeah, Jameis Winston, his debut. We'll have to see Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I just get the vibe Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be. He's definitely going to have a good year, but I don't know, man. Like, Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. The offense, I mean, they have Devontae Adams, but who else? You know, you've got Aaron Jones. I don't know, man. It's like the Packers just don't get Aaron Rodgers much help, I feel like. And it doesn't seem like his heart's in it right now. So I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great season personally, but it'll be interesting with Jameis Winston. How about Tony Jones Jr., the talk of the waiver wire right now? I wonder how many carries he gets with Latavius Murray being released by the Saints. Another 4:25 game, the Broncos at the Giants. So this will be an interesting one. 84 degrees there in New Jersey. The Broncos starting Teddy Bridgewater. He beat out Drew Lock in one of the most, uninspired QB battles. It's funny, they both played really well, though, in the preseason. I got to give them credit. I was kind of making fun of that QB battle. Like, whichever one you get, you lose, between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. We pretty much know what Teddy Bridgewater is at this point in his career. To be honest with you guys, I've said this before, I think Aaron Rodgers next year goes to the Denver Broncos. You think about their offensive weapons, Noah Fant at tight end. They've got Judy. They've got Hamler. They're loaded, man. They're completely loaded. How about Javonte Williams, the rookie from North Carolina? He'll probably be starting by week 5 or week 6. I know they still have Melvin Gordon, but I think he'll end up starting. They invested a high second-round pick into him. As for the Giants, if you drafted Saquon Barkley, man, I don't know what's going on. They're saying he's going to be on a pitch count, which is really weird. I know you want to take it easy with Saquon. The Giants aren't supposed to contend this year, maybe win 5 or 6 games, but it's just like Saquon suffered that injury week 2 last year. It's not like he suffered it in the last game of the season, so he's had a while to recover, but it looks like he's going to be on a pitch count. I don't know, man. Devontae Booker, I don't think is very good. He's the backup running back who might see some carries. Denver, 3-point favorites, over under 41.5. Yes, that Denver defense is phenomenal. Moving on to the 8:20 Sunday night nightcap game. It is the Bears at the Rams, and it would be funny if it wasn't so sad. The Chicago Bears, first Sunday night game of the season, are starting Andy Dalton. Andy freaking Dalton over Justin Fields. Could you imagine if we got Justin Fields versus Matt Stafford week 1? Matt Stafford, first game of his career, not in a Lion jersey. Matt Stafford is, I think, a phenomenal dark horse MVP pick. The script is there, the storyline is there. This is a guy who spent his entire career with a franchise like Detroit. Not a great franchise. He has Sean McVay calling plays for him now. He's obviously a very talented thrower of the football. He could easily, but he could definitely throw 50 touchdown passes this year. So he's kind of a dark horse MVP pick. As for the Bears, I mean, with Dalton, I don't know how long they're going to start him, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. The Rams right now, 7.5-point favorites. I would pick them to cover. Honest, I think it's going to be a very good debut for Matt Stafford. He probably throws 3 touchdowns Sunday night game. And then the Monday night game, very disappointing. The NFL, it's a week 1 tradition. They always do the doubleheader, the 7:20 and then the 10:15 game. They're not doing it this year. It's disappointing. It really is, but there's just the one game. It's actually a very good game. You've got the Ravens and Lamar Jackson at the Raiders and that crazy stadium they've got in Las Vegas. I love the Raiders jerseys. It is said that they moved from Oakland, but I love their jerseys, black and silver. It's amazing. Baltimore, 4.5-point favorites. The Raiders should be a decent team this year. I'm really looking forward to see if Henry Ruggs can kind of take a next step. How about Bryan Edwards? Another interesting receiver. We know they've got Josh Jacobs. And as for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he had the great MVP season last year. He wasn't on the MVP level, but he's still a really good franchise quarterback. The only thing you have to worry about with Lamar is the potential injury risk he gets. He does run a lot. But the Ravens, it's going to be Ravens and the Browns in the AFC North. I think they'll both win 11, maybe 12 games. They're going to battle it out. It's very close right now. I would give the Browns the slightest of edge. But guys, those are all the games. Really no weather problems except for this Packers-Saints game, which is self-inflicted. They moved the game. They're playing the game at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, which is an outdoor stadium, and there's some weather problems. It looks like there's a chance for rain. All the other games, very hot. Hot and mainly sunny you're going to see for Sunday, guys. It should be a great one. Week 1, that was the official preview, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description, guys. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.